Welcome to America's Commercial Real Estate Show, your source for intel, forecasts, and success strategies. Hello, I'm Michael Bull. Well, this segment is brought to you by RedIQ.com. Check them out. They turn static data into actionable intelligence, and they do it very, very quickly. If you own or invest in apartments, go to RedIQ.com. Well, today we're going to talk about self-directed IRAs, and before you change the channel, this is a great tool to invest in real estate and to diversify. And we're going to talk about how you do it, some rules and regulations, some gotchas, some things to watch out for, because I think it's a tool for maybe raising equity from folks for your deals. As a broker, it could be a way to raise money for investors to invest in real estate. And for investors, just a way to get into real estate that doesn't have as many fees and things, if you will, as going into a REIT, maybe having more control over buying some real estate. Please welcome my guest. It's Jason Craig, and he's president of IRA Resources, and he's joining us on the phone. Jason, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me, Michael. Pleasure to be a part of the show.
Well, Jason, one of the things that surprises me, I guess, is the way to put it, about self-directed IRAs and use it to invest in things like commercial real estate, is that more people aren't doing it. I just don't see. So for the people that are listening and watching, first of all, Jason, who is a good candidate? How much money should they potentially have in an IRA to invest in commercial real estate and think about doing a self-directed IRA?
We see it all over the map, and it's a great question. Depending upon how the client is going to go ahead and do the investment, if it's a direct purchase, obviously you need a little bit more money in the self-directed IRA. In those, I would say we typically see clients with $100,000 or $150,000 and above. If the client is looking to do the investment through a fund or a capital raise, kind of like you referenced, then those are going to be a little bit different depending upon what the minimum buy-in amounts are. But we've seen clients do that with $25,000, $50,000, $75,000. So it can kind of vary depending upon the deal. But if you're looking to do direct purchase, I would say most people have at least $100,000.
Okay, and not everyone's going to have a self-directed IRA, so they've got to do a conversion, right?
That's correct. There's a couple different ways to fund them. One is to transfer an existing IRA that you may have at a brokerage house, a Fidelity or Schwab, to a self-directed IRA. Another is, and what we frequently see, is somebody who has left an old position or an old job that had a 401k and that money is just sitting there. They can roll that money into a self-directed IRA and then make the commercial investment.
Okay, and let's talk about the way to do that, right? So you've got to have the money in your self-directed IRA, and then you need a custodian to hold the property.
That's correct, yes. So the IRA works like any other IRA with the exception of the investment opportunities. And any IRA needs a custodian to be a valid IRA. So the self-directed IRA custodians are the ones that allow the clients to be able to go ahead and do alternative investing or non-publicly traded assets for the most part, like commercial real estate.
Okay, and what's that process? So, Jason, let's say that I have $150,000. I'm converting it to a self-directed IRA, and I need a custodian. I reach out to you guys. What do I need to do? What's the process?
It's a pretty straightforward process. We get a client to complete a new account application, and that asks for the personal information along with we'll say it's a transfer form from another IRA provider like Schwab or Fidelity. You give us that information, we establish the account, and work with the other IRA custodian to transfer over the funds. Transfer is non-reportable, non-taxable. We work with the Schwab or the Fidelity to get those funds moved over once you've filled out the paperwork for us. And that's usually done, the account opening process, the same day. The transfer from one IRA provider to us can be done in a handful of days depending upon who it is, but I would say usually 3 to 4 days. Then the money is in the account and it's sitting there waiting for the client to choose the opportunity to invest. Okay,
and there we are. So as the client, I have to find my own investment. I have to find my own property, right?
That's a great point, yes. So a self-directed IRA custodian doesn't offer advice whether it be legal or tax. So what we do is our role is to custody the asset and to make sure that the transaction is IRS compliant. So we work with the clients to facilitate the transaction, definitely here to answer questions along the way, but we don't go with them to, pick the property that they're looking to buy. They need to work with the proper real estate professional to be able to go ahead and do all that due diligence, find what fits for them, and then make that investment.
Okay. And let's talk about some of the things that real estate-wise that are proper to go into self-directed IRA and some that are not. So let's start with some things that are not. I guess I can't buy my own home or my own second home or something like that, right?
That's correct, yes. You can't, it's what's called self-dealing or not an arm's length transaction. You can't take your house and, buy it. You can't buy a house or, a building and then use it yourself. It has to be at an arm's length transaction. So no what's called a disqualified party or disqualified person, which is a lineal ascendant or descendant, can use the IRA-owned investment. So it has to be for retirement, essentially. Now, siblings, aunts, and uncles are okay, but no disqualified parties, again, which is lineal ascendant or descendant. The investment in the real estate needs to be for investment purposes. Okay.
And can I couple that with debt? Can I have debt on the property in my self-directed IRA or no debt?
That's a great question. You definitely can. So you can get what's called a non-recourse loan. To go ahead and do that. So if a client doesn't have enough in their IRA and they want to go ahead and get debt or mortgage, they can do that. It just needs to be non-recourse. And the non-recourse portion means the property itself is the only collateral. They can't go after the individual.
Okay. And what about if the property now needs some renovation or it has some vacancy and I've got to add more capital to the deal?
You can definitely do that. So it has to come from the IRA if the IRA is owning 100% of the property. So you can do that again either through a transfer or a rollover like you've done previously. It could be through a non-recourse loan like we just discussed, or you could bring a partner into the deal as long as it's a non-disqualified. So what would be happening at that point in time is you would be selling a partial interest in the property to another investor to come in and be able to help do that.
Okay, so in the first example, I need enough money sitting in that self-directed IRA potentially to cover renovation costs or recover TI costs or whatever cost I might have in that property over and above the initial investment.
That is correct, yes.
And the second option, it sounds like, is something like, well, what if I don't have the money in the self-directed IRA? It's just not funded, it's not there, and I need capital. Then I have the option of pulling in that partner.
Yep, you definitely do. As long as it's a non-disqualified person, you could bring in somebody else to go ahead and partner with you to be able to go ahead and do those renovations.
Yeah. Now let's talk about some of the properties, therefore, that might be suitable, what some people are using. And one of the things that we see a lot of individuals buy, especially as their first commercial real estate investment severally on their own, is a single-tenant net lease investment. Maybe it's rented to a credit tenant. Maybe a lender will give you a non-recourse loan because they like the credit of the tenant. And since it's triple net single tenant, the tenant's covering all the operating costs. So usually there's no surprises on an additional cost. So it can be a property that works well in a self-directed IRA because you kind of know what your investment is and hopefully you don't have these expected costs. Does that make sense for a good property for a self-directed IRA? Am I missing anything there?
No, you're not. And when we do see it, and we have clients that do that, and they know that space, they prefer it, and they go after the commercial clients, and that's kind of what they target. But no, you're dead on with what we see, what clients are doing, and it's something that people are starting to become a little bit more aware of, and to the point about the triple net, not have to carry those additional costs. It's something that we see growing as far as an asset class within our space.
Yeah, and let's talk about the tax advantages of using money through your self-directed IRA. What are the advantages versus just putting money in a deal that you've already paid taxes on out of your pocket?
So depending upon if it's a traditional or Roth, the tax implications are a little bit different. But the nice thing about the traditional is all the money you're using, you've written off, right? You've already claimed, you haven't had to claim that on your taxes. It's money that's going to be tax deferred when you go ahead and take that money out. And you don't have to take it all out at once. You can take it out in distributions, partial amounts, whenever that time is right, and you would pay taxes on the money that you actually take out at that point in time. The Roth IRA is tax-free on the withdrawals, meaning the money that you have put into the Roth you've paid taxes on, but if that $50,000 were to turn around and grow to a couple $100,000, when you start to take that money out in withdrawals, then you won't pay taxes on that at all.
Wow, I mean, that sounds exciting. Go ahead and pay my taxes on it, and then that money just grows there until I cash out of that self-directed IRA with no taxes due at that time?
That's correct.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, that's what surprises me, why more of this isn't done. It's just crazy to me. All right, well, we're going to take a short break. I'm going to ask Jason to share with us some gotchas, some things that you may want to watch out for if you're considering using a self-directed IRA to invest in commercial real estate. Stay with us. I'm Michael Bull. This is America's Commercial Real Estate Show. America's Commercial Real Estate Show is brought to you by Bull Realty. For customized asset and occupancy solutions, visit bullrealty.com. Commercial Agent Success Strategies. Incredible training for commercial agents. Visit commercialagentsuccess.com. Red IQ. Turning multifamily data into actionable intelligence. Visit rediq.com.